Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. At about this time of the month I would be wrapping up projects from the end of the previous month. However, December was a bit different for me because I was playing largely with this Advent calendar live and creating short videos to post in December. I had a lot of fun playing with this calendar and I plan on buying it next year, which is part of the reason why I'm sharing, to get it on your radar, because this was so much fun. And if you're a scrapbooker, even though this is aimed at card makers, I have scrapbooking ideas for you at the end of the video. So don't let the card making label dissuade you. And here is the huge array of stuff that I created live in real time for those short videos. But today I kind of want to walk you through, in case you missed those, or if you want a few more ideas, I want to walk you through what this kit entails. And here is day one, which was a cute little mailbox set. And the die in there also included a little envelope, which the die looked like a house when I pulled it out of the package. So I created that little embellishment for another project someday. And it also had these tiny little hearts that I'm using along with other projects, including that birthday card that I made for my husband. Day number two was a bit of a stamp set, and mostly during the time working with this kit, I just used the sentiment out of that. Now, day number three was my least favorite product, and I didn't use it live, and I've barely used it since, but I will show you a couple of things later in the video. Day number four is this happy birthday sentiment with the shadow, and I made this birthday card, and of course, that previous birthday card as well. Day number five was an embossing folder, which I played with just to use it for texture, but then later on I made a few projects, and you will see these projects repeated throughout because as we progress in the month, I went back to these earlier days and used those supplies in tandem with whatever the new item was as well. And day six was a new little gnome die set, which I thought was super cute. I never really got on the gnome trend right away, but I'm just now catching up with it. So I had fun with making several gnome projects this month. And day number seven was this kind of bokeh stencil set, and I definitely love that one. I think it's very useful, but I also made this little speech bubble with that stencil set, so that was kind of a fun use for it. Day number eight was this gorgeous layered heart set, which I created all of those hearts live. And then later in the month, I ended up creating this shaker card with that. And I have more ideas for that heart set as well. And this was another project from later in the month also, with the sentiment there on that set. And then day number nine was some sequins, which I didn't do much with live, but I did, again, put them to use in these later projects. Day 10 was this little die set that actually coordinated with the day 2 stamp, which, like I said, I didn't do much with the day 2 stamp live, but I am going to show you a little embellishment project for scrapbookers. So I hope my scrapbookers are still here, even though I'm mostly showing off cards. But a lot of these pieces can be used as embellishments on layouts as well, and we will talk about that a little bit more. So this die set in particular, while it could be used in coordination with the stamp, I just use it mostly to embellish other bits and pieces of projects that I was working on. Day 11 was this banner sentiment set, and I really like this one, although that piece kind of confused me at first. It turns out it's the tail of the banner, but they attach in a way that I didn't quite expect. So I did have to go check out some other YouTubers' videos to see what they were doing with that piece. So YouTube is helpful to me too. Here is day 12, and it was this sweet little bird set. Now, there was an error in my set. I got 2 tail feathers instead of the actual wing, but I've used some of the other bits and pieces to take the place of the wing, and it's working fine. I did contact Spellbinders twice, and they haven't gotten back to me. So that is a little disappointing, more than a little disappointing. I was hoping their customer service would be a little bit better than that. At any rate, this little die set is one of my favorites, along with the gnomes and a couple of other sets that we have coming up. I have some real favorites in this whole kit. Now you can see I've made various little birdie projects here, and these birds are again great for embellishing cards and scrapbook layouts or whatever paper crafts you do. Day 13 was this little sentiment stamp set, which typically is used better for cards, but again, I made this little embellishment that is going to be used on a scrapbook layout. Day 14, we have more floral die sets. These are perfect for scrapbookers and card makers alike. So I put together this little strip of embellishment that I'm going to use on a scrapbook layout. And that little bird tree branch came from the flower branch, so the same set could be used for different types of foliage. All right, day 15 was this little embossing folder, and these embossing folders are definitely long and narrow pieces, but you can use them for sentiments, like I did with the For You piece on the left, and then I used the other letters on another project. You can use them to add texture to the backgrounds or to borders, so I think they're very, very usable. Moving on to day 16, we have another sentiment for you, and we just saw that one with the embossing folder. So when I did that original embossing, then I took it the next day and die cut the sentiment out of it. And here we are with day 17. This is another one of my favorites. I find that my creative juices really get flowing when I'm presented with these just simple shapes. And I created a few ideas here live, including just a backdrop, which is kind of a common use for that art shape. But I also created this little cave for my gnomes with both the big piece and the smallest piece, and it created these brick-like or stone-like pieces and those kind of little crayon border pieces. And I'm going to play with that one some more a little bit later. Day 18 was sequins. I didn't do anything live, but I did use them later. Day 19 was this congratulations stamp set, and that's when I finally made this shaker card and used some of those sequins as well as multiple sentiments from that set and that heart die set from earlier. Day 20 was another stencil, and this one was so pretty, and I loved the color combination that I had going on this one. So that was really fun to play with, and again, could make great scrapbooking projects. This one was a flower petal set, which kind of confused me at first because I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at when I opened it up. So I did go online and kind of confirm that I thought it was a flower set. And while I didn't have much time to play with this one live, this is one of those shape sets that I loved and I played with a lot later in this video. So stick around for that. And here we have more sequins that I didn't use until much later. And next day was day 23, and we have this thank you die set, much like the happy birthday one here, very delicate die set. And you can get some sweet little sentiments out of that, especially if you texture them up with those embossing folders. And day 24, our finale, was this little truck with a gift theme to it. And this was the only thing that could have had a nod towards Christmas itself. Everything else is totally usable throughout all of your crafting realms. So let's do a few more ideas with these sets. I'm going to start off with this flower petal set, and this is a better look at kind of what the idea of this set was. It has a base flower petal with lots of these little nested layer pieces, but this set had my brain sparking. So first thing I saw was a Christmas tree, so I turned this into a Christmas farm, and then when it was upside down, it reminded me of mountains. And of course, one of the first ideas I had was just to create a patterned border out of these, and again, another great scrapbooking idea. And here I was a little fussy with the colors, but eventually I get a pretty border going on. I combined it with the arch die set, and I created a little, not penguin, not flamingo, peacock. There we go, my brain was short-circuiting. And then I pulled out some other bits and pieces to create a little face for my peacock. He turns out looking a little funky, but I could just leave that with the base and not add the cutesy face on there. And then when I was playing with these, I saw the negative shape that they create when you put them this way, and that kind of reminded me of a snowflake. So I put these together with some sparkly paper and created a snowflake. So yes, I had very much fun playing with that one. And then going back to that stamp set, this was the first time I actually put the images to use. I did use the sentiment, but I'm creating a little journaling card here for scrapbooking. I am going to finish off this journaling card with creating some journaling lines out of that banner die set. So I've got washi tape on the right to give me an end point to my journaling, and then I am going to just trace the bottom of this little banner die cut out, and then when I go back and realign it, I can kind of center it and add more lines to that. And then for day 13, it was a Make-A-Wish stamp set, and since I'd already done a few birthday cards, I didn't really want to do another birthday card. So I pulled out that embossing folder set and I created these little candles, and the flames on the candles are actually half of the bird tail from the bird die set. So again, those shapes just kind of get my ideas going. And then back to the day 17 arches, I did have a lot more ideas for these, although by the time I got to playing with it again, I only remembered a couple. So this first idea is using it as like an envelope closure style, if that makes sense, but hopefully showing it off here will kind of give you the idea of what I mean. I did use the tires from the truck set to act as those little reinforcer holes for that envelope style. And then I did get die cut this out of lined paper, which you could use for journaling spots in scrapbooks. And then again, my brain thought of mountains once more with this shape set. You can do bigger and smaller mountains and create a whole scene, just like I did with the previous mountains that I created. So now let's go ahead and talk about some layouts. This is a layout that I completely finished for New Year's, and I used that flower petal set to create just some kind of fun bursts that kind of are firework inspired. I also used them to create some little journaling spots because the pointy part reminds me of an arrow that you can use to point towards significant parts of your layout. And of course, I used the banner to add to my title, and here is where I finally got out that border piece to use on this layout. And actually, having used it, I like it more than I did when I first opened it. And you know, really, that was the only piece in this set that I would say that I didn't like, and it's growing on me, so that's good. Other parts of this layout were the bokeh stencil dots and the florals down there, and then of course I brought in those sequins that I hadn't done anything with. For this layout, I started with that row of houses and created my color scheme around that. I changed up the candle embellishment that I created earlier to go with that color scheme, and then I made a little truck piece with colored present boxes for this birthday layout that went with that color scheme as well. And then again, that flower petal die I'm using just as a shaped embellishment to fill in some space on my layout. I did get this little confetti piece out of the from the original mailbox day one, the little handle on the mailbox. When I was cutting out the little hearts to go in that house, it also cuts out this little handle. So I just cut a whole bunch of them and created some confetti as well. So that was a bonus. For the final layout, I haven't finished this one, but I am going to be using those hearts and the banner piece to create journaling. The hearts are going to be a border of just decorative border, and probably maybe my title with that empty heart, and that should finish off that layout. So there you have it. That was a look at a large part of what I did in December. Most of the other stuff I did already have process videos up, so if you missed any of that, you can certainly go back and check out those. And January will be back to my regular schedule. So until I see you next time, have an artful day.